All right, folks, you were watching Downshift Pass. My name is Chad, and thank you for checking out another one of my reviews. Now, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. And let's hop right into today's review. Guys, today we're going to be taking a look at this 2020 Honda Accord Sport 1.5T. All right, guys, and let's talk Honda Accord Sport. Now, Honda redid this car for the 2018 model year, completely new body style. And over the years, the Accord has just gotten bigger and bigger and better and bigger. But for this one, they actually made it a little bit smaller, so a little bit more, in my opinion, fun to drive. Kind of brought it back to its roots a little bit. And I'm really excited to be testing this 1.5T model because you see the 2.0Ts everywhere, but you don't see a lot of what the everyday driver is actually out there driving. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with styling. All right, guys, so of course we're gonna go ahead and just start with the styling of the Honda Accord. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, man, this car is hard to film. It's hard to catch its good angles. It's hard to make it look its best, but I promise you in real life, it's a very, very handsome automobile. I actually think it's one of the best looking family sedans on the market today. So driving dynamics also included with it. It's not a bad deal that you get here with the Accord, but I want to go ahead and point out some of the features that are specific to the Sport. Starting here with the grille, instead of a chrome grille, you're going to get a blacked out grille on the Sport, which I think is a really nice little touch here. Also, your headlights are LED, fog lights are LED, and you do have LED daytime running lights as well. Now, the bright light is actually a halogen bulb, and I think that's a missed opportunity for the Accord Sport. I think they could have made it look a little bit more upscale if they just made that a full LED headlight. But nonetheless, it's still a really good looking car. Now, moving along to the middle here, you do have your Honda Sensing safety suite. So it's a sensor right here at the bottom of the grille. I think it's integrated really well. And this is where your collision mitigation system is. This is where your cruise control sensing is as well. So this car will actually bring itself to a complete stop and start rolling again if you have it in cruise control. So I think that's really neat. Now, coming along to the side here is, I think, where the Accord really shines. Now on the Sport, the biggest, most obvious thing, of course, are these wheels. Now, the Sport does have 19-inch wheels. They're on 235/40 size tires, and they are a really beautiful design. And I mean, from this angle, you gotta see Audi A7 right here. Yeah, if you see Audi A7, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Also, give me a subscribe. I definitely appreciate it for the channel. Now, moving along to the back here, the Honda Accord has a very short deck lid, which I think looks really nice. It also comes with a deck lid spoiler that is on the Sport model. Your tail lights are LED tail lights, the turn signal, as well as the reverse light is an incandescent bulb. And then down below, you do have chrome exhaust tips, but of course they're not real chrome exhaust tips. You can see straight through there and actually see the exhaust pipe. But on the Sport, you do get a dual exhaust, so it is on both sides. Now, again, this being the 1.5T, it is a little bit of a smaller engine, and you know, Hondas aren't known for making really bad engine noises, but this one is not one of my favorites. I'll go ahead and start it up and let you guys hear what that sounds like. So what did you guys think about that noise? If you liked it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you didn't like it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button anyway, because I'm sure I'm going to have another car that you will enjoy the exhaust sound. But let's go ahead and take a look at the trunk, engine, and then step inside. All right, and taking a look at the trunk space in the 2020 Honda Accord. I mean, it's your pretty standard stuff. It's actually a nice size trunk though. Honda says it has 16.7 cubic feet of space. Pretty much enough space to put back anything you may need. You do have a 60/40 rear folding split, All you do is just pull these handles here, and then the seats unlock, and then you have to go back there and physically push it down so it doesn't go down automatically or full flat. Now you do have grocery hooks back here as well, so that's a nice little touch. And then under here, of course, is your spare tire. It is a donut sized tire that they offer, but that's not surprising for the class. Now, one missed opportunity back here is Honda does not have a button to open the trunk. You have to physically use the key, or there's a button on the interior. But if you're standing back here and you want to open the trunk, make sure you have access to the inside immediately, or make sure you have the key in your hand, because there's no other way to open it back here. Another missed opportunity. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's under the hood of the 2020 Honda Accord. All right, taking a look under the hood of the Honda Accord, and yeah, that's right guys, a prop rod. I'll be right back. And we're back under the hood of the Honda Accord, and yeah folks, it actually has a prop rod, which I guess it's pretty standard for the class, but you know, when you start getting to the upper trim levels, certain things are a little unacceptable in my opinion. But this is Honda's 1.5 liter turbocharged Earth Dreams engine. It does have VTEC technology, produces 192 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque, and made it to a CVT transmission. Now we'll definitely get into that a little bit more into the drive. Now Honda says this car will do 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds, and I have no reason to doubt that. It's a pretty peppy little engine. All right, and stepping into the back seat of the 2020 Honda Accord, and man, oh man, this is a huge cabin, especially for the car to be a little bit smaller on the outside. Honda did a really good job of space back here. Now, Honda says that this car has 40 inches of leg room, and I do not doubt it. I did do a review of the Volkswagen Passat. I'll link that up here somewhere. One of the Accord's competitors, you could say, and I actually think this car has a little bit more space. It's definitely a lot more comfortable back here. You don't even need space under the seat. You know, I'm 5'8". I do have the driver's seat in a position that I would be in, and I mean, sitting here is perfectly fine. Now, you do have a little bit of cubby space back here. On the passenger side, you also have a map pocket, and then the door, of course, you do have your power windows and a little bit more storage back there. Now, coming along the middle here, you do have an armrest with 2 cup holders for you as well. Now, again, these seats do fold 60/40. There is no ski pass through, which, again, another missed opportunity, I think, but the fact that you can let the seats down will take up for that. Now, as always, before we step into the front seat, I just want to give you a look at the key. This is Honda's standard, pretty much, key that you see on all their cars. You have your lock, unlock, trunk button, as well as your panic button. One really neat thing that I think Honda added though is this car does have remote start. All you do is hit the lock button, press and hold this button, and it'll start right up for you. If you want to cut it off, all you do is press it again, and the car shuts itself right off. Now, believe it or not, this car, the 1.5 T Sport, does not have keyless entry. And Honda, I think that's your biggest missed opportunity on this car. If my key is in my pocket and I put my hand on the handle to lock, unlock, like you do in pretty much every car nowadays, this car will not do it. You actually have to use the key to get into the car. Hopefully they change that pretty soon on the future models coming. But let's go ahead and press our unlock button here, a little old school, and hop in the car. And as you shut the door, you are greeted with a little welcome noise there, which is pretty soothing on a nice morning. It's not too jarring or anything. But let's go ahead and put our foot on the brake. It does have a keyless start system, so we'll go ahead and push this button here, and she fires right up. All right, taking a look at the front seat of the Accord, I think it's designed pretty nice. Hondas have really good ergonomics. So it's pretty standard stuff. Everything is laid out nicely. Everything is in its rightful place. Everything is easy to control. Of course, you do have your automatic windows here. The 2 front windows are auto. The rear windows are not. You have your power controls for your mirrors here. You do have a trip computer as well. And then you have this nice little button down here. And this is one button that controls the road departure mitigation system and turning that on and off. Now, taking a look at the steering wheel, you do have quite a few buttons, but they're pretty simple to use. Cruise control on the right, And on the left is where your volume radio controls are, and the controls to control this digital gauge cluster here. Yes, it does not look like it from here, but that is actually a digital gauge cluster. And just going through a little bit of the settings that they have here. Let's see, you have the tachometer, range and fuel, speed and time, audio, phone, traffic sign, driving support, driver attention, maintenance, safety support, and different warnings. I typically leave it in a tachometer side, even though this is a CVT transmission. I just kind of like to have an idea of what's going on. All right, now moving along to the center stack here, Honda does offer a larger screen on the Sport. So this is an actual 8-inch screen. You do have physical buttons on the side, which I absolutely appreciate, as well as a physical volume knob and a physical tuning knob. Now, the screen could be a little bit bigger. It could spread out a little bit more to where these buttons are. Maybe put the buttons, I don't know where you could put them, but the screen could be a little bit bigger to kind of compare to a lot of the cars in this class. But the screen operation is beautiful. I mean, it swipes great. Anything you need to choose, it gets there very quickly. You do have a lot of additional settings here. Your system settings, connections, display, sound, vehicle, as well as your camera settings are all listed here. This is where you connect your Bluetooth. This car, of course, has Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. And while we're looking at the screen, let me go ahead and put it into reverse and take a look at the reverse camera. Now, the reverse camera does have 3 different cameras to choose from. You have a top-down view, which I absolutely love because you can see the bumper and get extremely close to things. Here is your standard camera, and then you do have a wide-angle view camera as well. But again, pretty standard stuff with this screen. It is one of my favorites to operate out of all the cars, and I love that it is touchscreen. And then down here, you do have your climate controls. To operate, you do have your knobs here. You have a driver and passenger climate control. So you have 3 knobs and 5 buttons, and that is it. That's all you need to operate a climate control. It's a very simple system to use. It works very well. And I just love that they keep the physical buttons. A lot of cars are going away from that right now. Moving down below, you do have a little bit more storage space. You do have a USB port here, and you also have a 12-volt meter here. Now with the Sport, you do get 2 additional USB ports over the LX model. So again, I want to show you some of the Sport features to see if this is the right model for you to choose. Of course, you have your gear shift lever here, PRND, nothing special. There's no way to control any manual mode from the gear shift lever, but the car does have paddle shifters. So when you're in drive, you'll see the numbers pop up there. It'll say D1, D2. And even though this is a CVT transmission, it has 7 gears to choose from that CVT when you're using those paddle shifters. Of course, you have your 2 cup holders, your Sport and economy mode, parking brake, and then a brake hold feature, which if you're in drive and you push the brake hold, it's just going to hold the car exactly where it is until you push the gas. Now, if you push the Sport button here, you'll see on the gauges here that it changes the gauges. Now the left side is the only digital gauge in the car. The right side is an actual physical normal gauge that you see. But in Sport mode, you'll see it turns everything red here, and then it'll make the tachometer a little bit tighter, and then you have a turbo boost meter to look at. In economy mode is what it looks like, which is also pretty standard. You have the white surround now that will also turn green as you're driving to let you know that you're getting good gas mileage. And that is pretty much it for the Accord, the front seat of the Accord. Pretty comfortable seats. They are cloth seats. And you also, in the Sport, the 1.5T Sport, don't get heated seats. And again, another missed opportunity. But think of this car as more of a LX with a little bit of a Sport package, and that Sport package being nicer rims, different types of trim, at a really good price. So let's go ahead and take the Honda out on the road. All right, guys, setting out in the 2020 Honda Accord. Again, this is a 1.5T with the CVT transmission. Now, I am driving through Washington, D.C. area. And if you know anything about Washington, D.C. area, cameras are everywhere. So, you know, I'm going to try to get it up there for you a little bit, but I have a limited amount of time with the car. So it won't be too much speeding or trying to figure out what this engine and transmission can do. But I will tell you one thing, it's not the most exciting if you have the CVT transmission. As you know, CVTs tend to have a little bit of a drone to them. And this one is really no different. You know, Honda really tried to recreate the CVT by giving it some additional gears, so to speak. So even using these paddle shifters here, I'll show. If I downshift, I don't know if you can see it, but it says D5, D4, D3, D2, and it's going up in the rev range. But one, if you don't make a move on the gas pedal within a second or two, it's going to go right back in automatic mode. And number two, it really is not adding to the fun factor of driving the car. So if you are not interested in the CVT transmission, you do have to step up to the 2.0T, which is a 2-liter turbocharged engine, which has a lot more power, and it also has a 10-speed automatic transmission that I did have a chance to drive, and that's a really special transmission. But as far as the drive of this car goes, one thing I've always appreciated about the Accord, and this one is no different, is it's definitely going to be the more exciting choice. I think the only other option that's probably a little bit more exciting, or it's a little bit better drive, the driving dynamics kind of give you a little bit more of a sporty feel, is going to be the Mazda 6. But this Accord is definitely a very, very close second. All right, I have a little opening here. I'm gonna give it a gas so you guys can hear. So you probably heard that simulated shift, and that's pretty much what this car is going to do for you when you actually step on the gas here a little bit. Now, road noise has always been something that Honda has not done a good job at subsiding. It's usually very loud. Their cars have a lot of road noise, a lot of engine noise, tire noise. Now, when you have the V6 engine Hondas, you don't really mind that engine noise so much. With this 1.5, especially for it to be, you know, a larger car, and honestly is Honda's most premium sedan that they carry, it's a little loud. I think the tire noise that you hear is a little loud. I'm sure the 19 inches don't help. You get a lot of wind noise coming in. You have a lot of, it's just a lot of noise, vibration, and harshness that could be subsided a little bit more, I think, in this car. But as you're driving it around, these DC roads are a little rough, so forgive me, but as you're driving it around, the visibility is great, especially for the design of the car. The greenhouse is, you know, very low. If you sit low in this seat, the windowsill is actually a little bit higher than you probably anticipate. The hood looks really expansive and really big up there, but driving it, it doesn't feel as big as it looks. It drives really like a small car. Like I said, the dynamics of it is pretty impressive. I wouldn't go as far as calling it sporty, but it definitely has some pretty good intentions there. Now, on the 2-liter engine in the Sport, you will get adaptive suspension and a little bit more features to make the car give it more of that sporty nature that you might be looking for. But for an everyday daily driver, this is a really, really solid choice. Let's take it into a nice corner here. Love how stable it feels. Now, you're not going to be taking this on any back roads, but if you are, record it. I actually love to see it, because this car actually is quite impressive with the way that it handles. And again, I'm sure those 19-inch wheels help, but it's not a bad handler. Okay, so getting onto an on-ramp here, I'm going to mash it and see what it does. You know, like I said, it doesn't make the best noises, but this car definitely, it will move. It is definitely adequate for daily driving. Honda says it will do 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds. I have no reason to believe that it doesn't hit that goal. a little bit faster than some of the competition as well. You know, Honda is also known for creating some faster cars than what their numbers suggest. So 192 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque. I would probably say it feels more about the 200, 205 range. All right, guys, we're back on the surface streets, and of course this wouldn't be a downshift pass video without taking a listen to the stereo. So we're going to give it a little audio test here. Now this stereo is an 8-speaker system. It's upgraded from the standard LX Accord. The LX Accord is a 6-speaker system, not as many watts as this one, so a little bit of an upgrade. I'm going to go ahead and play a song, and you guys tell me what you think. Guys, tell me what you think about that stereo system there. I'll tell you, Hondas have never been known for having really good stereos, even when they have their upgraded systems. It's never really any brand names attached to it, like Bose or Harman Kardon that you see in a lot of the competition. They just have an upgraded system. The volume is decent. The bass is really what's missing. It lacks that depth of bass. So you hear it, you hear a noise, you hear a bass sound, but you don't feel that bass. And you know, I love a good stereo system in a car, and bass is really important to me. I like to listen to a lot of different type of music, and it can just create a much better atmosphere for your music. So the stereo could be a little bit better. If stereo is not that important to you, I think this will be more than adequate of a stereo system for you. So definitely make sure you step up to the Sport to get those 2 additional speakers and a little bit better sound. Now, just rolling into my final thoughts here on the Accord. Again, I know this is a quick drive, but I don't have the car for much time, but I'll tell you something. It's a really impressive drive. A lot of the stuff that I could not film driving to the different locations that I was filming and taking pictures at is actually really impressive. I think it's a fun car to drive. I feel like this is actually a really engaging car to drive. Now, again, you're not going to be tracking this or, you know, doing anything extra crazy, but for the purpose of what this car is built for, I think it does it well and a lot better than the competition. If I had to pick one car over this one, believe it or not, guys, that brand new Hyundai Sonata is a force to be reckoned with. But if driving dynamics is your thing, if being more engaged in your drive is a thing, this is definitely the car to choose over any of them, I feel. If you're able to get the 2.0T, that's exactly how I would spec mine out. But one just like this is a really good price point, especially if you can find one on the used car market. Hondas are usually pretty expensive, more expensive, but of course you have that Honda reliability that's backing this car, so it makes it all worth it in the end, I feel like. If you have a lot of family to haul, you know, you have a lot of things that you put in your trunk, this is definitely one of the better options as well. I'm telling you, that back seat is not to be messed with, especially in comparison to a lot of the other competition. Honda just really knows how to package their cars very, very well. So you have good front seat space. The back seat space is amazing for taller people, for longer road trips. The seats are very comfortable. You can see very well. You have your LED headlights and tail lights. There are a couple of missed opportunities that I mentioned earlier in the video. The biggest being a keyless entry system for just putting your hand on the handle and it unlocking. But if you're able to overlook that, this is absolutely the car you should choose. I don't think there is anything better on the road right now that has the absolute package, and it makes me understand why certain car magazines has had this car at the top of their list for decades. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's all I have for you today. I absolutely appreciate you watching. If you could, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button as well. And I love comments, so if you want to leave a comment, let me know what you think about the Accord. Do you own an Accord? Have you thought about buying an Accord? Have you even drove an Accord? Let me know in the comments. I love to talk to you guys. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.